This is why we call you ideological, fucking puritanical, fucking crazy bastards, okay? Because even when feminists deal with issues pertaining to men, you're still not fucking happy. That's still not good enough because, what about the men's? Now later on in the video, they address some fan mail. Now, it's not got anything to do with Lacey Green, but fuck it, I'm going to respond to this little bit anyway because it's my fucking show.
Alright, so Goth Navy Wife writes, I love everything you do, but I'm a little confused as to whether Karen or Allison is the rant zerker, because both of you get into some epic rants. May I suggest switching the title to The Rant Zerkers plural instead? Both of you deserve credit for rant zerking.
Okay. I think that's just a semantic argument. I think that's just pedantic.
Oh my fucking god, I can't believe that you, a person who spent the fucking first 10-15 minutes of this video going on about the name of the show not necessarily being absolutely 100% representative of the content of the show, and disingenuously claiming that she was referring to you as a feminist when she wasn't actually talking to you as part of her target audience at all. I can't believe that you are having a go at somebody else for using semantic arguments and being pedantic. When it comes to the use of semantic arguments and pedantry, you are the fucking queen. But anyway, let's move on, shall we? Fuck off. Now, as we just saw in the last segment, the what about the men's line of argumentation is one of Karen's favourites. I mean, it really is her absolute tip-top go-to deflection tactic.
Trolls who attack women online, and who we must then assume never attack men.
And if you didn't fit the bill, they'd basically tell you to suck it up and move on with your life.
The way they tell the vast majority of male rape victims, you know, like that.
Because we brought it on ourselves, right? When we artificially prioritized women's education and ignored men's problems. So,
shoveling coal onto a lorry was considered light duty compared to what many men did for a living back then. And no matter how many feminists I meet, I have yet to receive an impression that the first consideration of that feminist is a man's humanity. So we don't have to care about raising boys into good men, and so we just don't care about it. We don't have to care about educating boys, because we don't need them to get an education. We don't need them to be the ones supporting their family. All I could really think as Eve was talking about the plight of women in the Congo was, if it's that bad for women and girls, I can't even imagine how it must be for men and boys. What exactly is feminism doing to dismantle this traditional role of the disposable male?
Yes, the disingenuousness just oozes from her every utterance. But let's move on, shall we, to something a little different, because there was one thing I wanted to touch upon, which I'd like to have gone into more detail about, but time constraints and all of that meant that I'm just going to touch upon it a little bit more briefly. And that is the weird as fuck video she did about Anders Breivik. Now, for those who don't know, Anders Breivik is a Norwegian neo-Nazi mass-murdering terrorist who in 2011 set off a car bomb in the centre of Oslo, the capital of Norway, and then later on that day went on a shooting spree at a political youth camp on Utoya Island, and in the two attacks he killed 77 people, the vast majority of whom were 18 years of age or under, and the attacks also left around 320 injured. So you'd think with that kind of shit on someone's resume, it would be difficult to feel sorry for them. But Karen somehow manages it. Now, before you get the idea that she was in it because she's also a massive Islamophobe like he was, or something like that, that wasn't why she was sympathetic towards him, okay? She was sympathetic toward him because she read an article in the British media about how his mother had supposedly psychologically abused him as a child. Now, I can't speak to the veracity of that particular article, but if it is true, that is of course absolutely terrible. But even so, her reaction is frankly a little bit over the fucking top. On several occasions there's a catch in her voice as she begins to fight back the emotions. Then her eyes begin to well up, and then on a couple of occasions she has to wipe tears away from her face. Karen, the dude killed 77 fucking people. How can you get that emotional for him? Okay, look, if he was fucked up as a kid, that's terrible. But he went on to kill 77 people in a double terrorist attack. He is to blame for the murder of scores of people and the injuries of fucking hundreds of people. Or at least, that's how any sane person would see it. But unfortunately, Karen has a different take on things. Can you guess who she blames for his actions?
Part of me is thinking that as much as feminists want to lay Anders Breivik on the doorstep of the MRN, he really belongs on the doorstep of feminism.
Yes, of course she blames feminism, because she's a religious anti-feminist. And I use that word genuinely, okay? She is religious in her fanaticism, in her zeal. Now, staying in that part of the world, there is a particular country in Northern Europe that Karen has a massive hate boner for. Let's see if you can pick up on which one it might be.
This proposed Swedish model.
I believe this is in Sweden, but I'm not 100% yeah, Malmo, Sweden. Education Minister Tobias Krantz wrote in an article in Sweden's leading daily, Fuck Your Name, Swedish paper.
Sounds entirely suited to the utopia of gender equality that is Sweden.
In Sweden, they're proposing to actually reverse the burden of proof.
Sweden, the Saudi Arabia of feminism.
Sweden, the Saudi Arabia of feminism.
Yes, the Saudi Arabia of feminism. You fucking mental case. But anyway, let's move on, shall we? Because now it's time for... Yes, it's the inevitable bit about rape.
No, no, no fucking way.
Yes, it is, Karen. Okay? Anyway, for Karen Straughan's inevitable bit about rape, there is just too much to fucking choose from. So I've gone for a little-known gem that comes from a hangout she did with one Dariush Validzadeh. Yes, that's right, the king of the rape advocates, Roosh V.
Okay, so we do have to talk about this whole rape on private property thing. You know, of course, you know that we have to talk about it because everybody's got to talk about it. Why should I be any different? Now, you sort of you've always called it satire, and I always kind of was of the opinion that it really didn't matter or not whether it was satire. But you said in the documentary that it was a sort of a satirical thought experiment to make a point about personal responsibility. And I think that's actually something, I'm actually really glad that you wrote that article, because although I probably would have been happier if I'd written it.
Well, there you go. She doesn't care whether it's serious or it's satire, and she wishes she had personally written the article. Now, that brings up a couple of questions. Firstly, does Karen Straughan wish she had written that article from a serious or a satirical point of view? Like, that needs answering. And secondly, does this now move Karen Straughan from the section of people who are basically your common garden, bog standard rape apologists into the select band of rape advocates with the likes of Roosh V now? I don't know anymore. I really don't know where she falls on that spectrum. I mean, I know she's fucking horrible, but other than that, I'm really not sure. But anyway, let's move the fuck on, shall we? Now, before I let you all go and dismiss the class, as it were, I don't know, I'm talking shit now. But anyway, before I let you all go, I'd like to bring to you a couple of examples of things that really annoy me, and they're both hypocrisies on the part of Karen Straughan. They're not exclusively the only hypocrisies she does, but they're the two that have annoyed me the most. The first of which is that she constantly has a go at feminists for using what she calls shaming tactics.
Some of the shaming tactics that feminists use, I keep hearing from the feminist camp that yet feminists would still have us all believe that women have been living under the boot of male oppression all through history. One of the most reliable shaming tactics feminists and other women's advocates have used to bully or silence men.
Like you're morally superior to us.
Yeah, and anybody who is a non-feminist is actually intellectually bankrupt. That they just don't know, they just don't get it. There's something missing there. There's something missing in their brain.
But yet is an absolutely rapacious shamer herself.
And you really see it in the gynocentrism of manginas and white knights.
Just do me a favor. Just do me, like right now, just check your junk. Just to make sure. I'll wait.
It just seemed to be an exercise in vagina gazing, gynocentrism.
In the name of your favorite gender bigots.
The psychiatric community needs to include feminism in their big compendium of mental disorders. White knights.
I mean,
are you actually a guy? Serious question.
Ah, hypocrisy. Thy name is Karen Straughan. But what annoys me more about that has something to do with money. Now, more specifically, the fact that she's sort of bought into the MGTOW philosophy that women are only with men so that they can extract wealth and resources from them, and that basically women are sort of incapable of love, at least some, if not most of the time, maybe, possibly, I don't know. They don't really have like a well-defined idea of what the fuck is going on in the world, because they don't have a clue about anything that's going on in the fucking world.
But they did mention that there'd probably be less money changing hands. Forcibly extracted male wealth, and men are useful.
Hashtag give your money to women. Or how about the man tax that feminists have suggested? Or giving bonuses based on vagina that one university in Australia is doing. Government programs to help women make ends meet. Where do you think all that money is coming from, ladies? It's primarily coming from men.
So she thinks it's terrible that women use men to get wealth and resources. She would never do anything like that herself, right? No, wrong. Of course she fucking does.
Hi everyone. Thanks to everyone's generosity, I was able to attend Gamergate in Toronto not long ago. Pledge a one-time donation of $35 or more, or an ongoing contribution of $5 or more per month. Hello everyone, it's fundraiser time at Honey Badger Radio, and we're asking our viewers to help us out with promotional costs for 3 upcoming events. Our next goal is getting me to South by Southwest's Open Gaming Society Save Point panel covering Gamergate. This could be a breakout situation for Gamergate, and we'll be there on the front lines. And I'll be hooking up with... interviewing Mercedes Carrera while I'm there. So anybody who wants to see me, Paul, Sage, and Hannah be able to make it to this conference in London, please donate to our Kickstarter and help us make it happen.
I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, she thinks it's terrible that one woman takes advantage of one man, but she thinks it's okay for her, one woman, to take advantage of fucking thousands of men. Not just that, but the MRAs fall for it all the fucking time. I mean, it's like someone doing the 3-card trick to you, but with the cards facing up, and yet they still pick the wrong fucking card. It's mental. Now, before anyone jumps up at me and says, what's wrong with fundraising for, you know, an effort to do something or whatever? Yeah, there's nothing wrong with fundraising. I mean, I've got a Patreon account, right? It's linked below. Hint, hint. Like anyone's going to give me any fucking money. Anyway. So I've got nothing wrong with fundraising as such, but it's the nonsense of saying it's terrible that a woman would take advantage of a man, and then doing precisely that to thousands of them. So that you can go on trips all around the world. You can go to London to meet up with Mike Buchanan. How the fuck is that advancing any men's rights issue? It's ridiculous. But anyway, let's wrap this shit up. Karen Straughan, as I've pointed out a couple of times so far, is essentially a religious anti-feminist. She thinks that feminism is the devil or whatever, okay? But with all of that unpleasantness dealt with, there's just one thing left for me to say. Karen Straughan, go fuck yourself.
Jesse is a friend. Yeah, I know he's been a great friend of mine. But lately sounds strange and it's hard to define. Jesse's got himself a girl and I wanna make her one. 'Cause she's watching with those eyes, and she's loving with that body. I just know it. He's holding her in his arms late at night. You know I wish that I had Jesse's girl. I want Jesse's girl. Why can't I find a woman like that? I play along with the charade. There doesn't seem to be a reason to change. And I feel so dirty when we start talking truth. I wanna tell her that I love her, but the point is stopping her. She's watching her with those eyes, and she's loving with that body. I just know he's holding her in his arms late at night. You know I wish that I had Jesse's girl.